be doing a distressing tutorial video on vintage tees, or making your modern tees look vintage, and distressing jeans. So we're trying to get this type of look. I have a little vintage shop called Green Dreams Vintage on Depop, and these are a couple shirts that are just a little too tattered for me to sell. So this is the kind of vintage look we're going for, like just that kind of tattered collar, some natural holing. This one's done all naturally. Here's another one. That same kind of grinded top, the holes. So we're gonna try to do that look on this tee. This is another vintage tee that I can't really sell just because it has some stains, etc. So practice on here. So this is a seam cutter. I got a pack of like 12 to 15 of these on Amazon. They were super cheap, under like 10 bucks. So you're gonna take this, and you're not really gonna use the cutting function of this at all. You're just gonna be using that tip to create the holes and distressing throughout. So on the collar, we're gonna take the little tip and then put your finger under, thumb over, and then about a couple centimeters, jab it and pull just a little bit. And that's how we're gonna create that kind of grinded looking collar. And be really careful, these are super sharp, as you can see. And then you can do it a little bit bigger, smaller. You can do that a little bit throughout, so it gives it some diversity. Do it to the back. And again, be super careful. All right, so there's that. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the sleeve. So here we have the sleeve. We're gonna be working with the hem right now. We're gonna give the hem the same kind of style as that collar, using the same technique. And again, doing a little bit bigger, smaller throughout. There we go. This is a little bit of a pattern. You want to make it not so much of a pattern so it looks just as natural as possible. You can kind of fix it up a little. Okay, so then we're going to be adding the little holes. So this part's important. You're not going to want to use anything but these little tiny seam scissors. If you use even fabric scissors, it's going to create a huge hole, and it's going to be really choppy and messy, just like if you cut your hair with scissors that aren't hair scissors. It's going to be the same thing. So we're going to do the holes. So here we go. We're going to take this, we're going to get the top layer and pull, creating this natural kind of distress. So you can make the holes a little bit bigger, smaller, and be super careful. So now, after the sleeve and the collar, we're gonna do the hem at the bottom. So here we go. Same kind of thing as the top. Use that same technique. And like I said, you can do this, you know, to your preference, lighter, or you can just really go at it and make it like way more grinded, kind of like the other vintage tees. If I just keep doing this, it's gonna take forever. So we'll just move on to the next hole part. So same thing as the sleeve. We're gonna take that first layer, poke a hole through, and then pull the fabric and the scissors at the same time. There we go. And then the first layer. That's a nice little distressing right there. Do a little bit bigger, some more smaller, just a little bit more. So, you know, you'll see as you go how you like it, but it's starting to get there. Alright, so then after the bottom, you can do as many steps of that as you want. So you can make it light distressing or do a ton of distressing, whatever you want. So we'll move on to the holes in the actual shirt that's not the hem. So this is a little bit more difficult. You're gonna wanna be really confident with your marks or it'll just look really choppy. Again, just like cutting your hair, if you're really timid going for it, it'll probably be squiggly, scraggly, same thing. So we'll start with the collar. Usually on vintage tees, the natural distressing happens in the collar, behind, a little bit lower, rarely ever in the dead center of the shirt, so we'll avoid that. Come to the collar and we're gonna take the seam cutters again, not using the cutting function of these. We're just gonna be poking through. So you can do light little ones, there's a little bit, or you can do it bigger and then create a bigger one. So again, just be really light with it. Less is always more. Some light ones here, or if here's an example of a bigger hole, you're gonna wanna puncture super hard instead of this light. You're gonna wanna go to create a bigger hole, just like that. So as you can see, we're getting there again. And I like to do what we did on the bottom to the collar. I like to add these little ribs, gives it a little bit more. And then you can do the collar rib, so you're gonna wanna poke it and then lift up. Any direction that you want your hole or slit, you're gonna wanna do in the exact direction. So if you want these horizontal looking holes, not vertical, you're gonna wanna do this horizontally, same thing. And if you do it another way, it's gonna come out like that. So that's what we're trying to avoid, and that's what it comes out when you use scissors. Okay, and now we'll move on to the back of the tee. So here's the front. So it's getting there. This is a couple mistakes as I was showing you some examples. But here we go, and then there's that hem. It's going to look good. Here's the back now. We're gonna do that same puncturing little style that we were doing in the front. So bigger. Do it even a little bit more. It's looking good. And then kind of next to the arm is a good one. It's a good place. Great. And then maybe some more distressing down here. And again, you're gonna wanna pull the fabric pretty tight so it creates the best hole. Great, it's getting to look good. Probably a little more distressing here. Ooh, that looks good. Maybe a little more here. Using this technique again. So as you go with the shirt, you know, just kind of be more intuitive with it than planning so far ahead, because sometimes your holes won't end up the way you want them to look. So just go slowly. Again, less is always more. Poke slow and then poke hard. So we'll do a little bit more. Alright, and that's how you take your normal t-shirt to a distressed t-shirt. Now we're going to move on to distressing your jeans. And it's more so, I don't distress my jeans a lot. I usually like to distress the bottoms the most right now. I feel like this is a really trendy look right now. The holey jeans, they're still in and super cute, but I feel like, again, less is more. So this is how I distress the bottom of the jeans. So the jeans originally came like this, and then I cut these. I measured them with measuring tape. So you're gonna wanna take fabric scissors. Using any other scissors will not work on your denim, or you're just gonna break your scissors, and yeah, you're gonna have to get another pair of scissors. So get a good pair of fabric scissors. It's good to have anyway. You can crop shirts with them, jackets, jeans, any other type of materials, linens. Okay, so I measured these, cut the bottoms off. And then I'm kind of ending with this, but we'll even distress this a little bit more. And then this is the raw cut. And then to get to this frilly point, I'm going to show you how to do that. You're either going to use a safety pin or a tack or anything with this super, super sharp point. You're going to come from the inside of the jean, get the seam, just one seam at a time, and pull it. So this is going to be super tedious. I would allow about 45 minutes to an hour to get to this point. So as I said, you're just going to take the one at a time, rip it through, over and over again until you get it to where you like it. So see, you can see it's starting to get that way. So after doing that a bunch of times, it'll end up like this. And you're gonna wanna do it to the front and the back, and then pay attention to these sides right here because it'll gather up all there. So go all the way across and then check your corners before you keep moving on. So right over here, you can kind of see how it's all, there's a few separate ones. Okay, so I've already sanded these a little bit. You're gonna wanna allow like 45 minutes to an hour again on the bottoms just to get a really, really distressed bottom that looks professional and almost store-bought. So here we go. I'll do it to this side so you can kind of see what it'll look like from the raw. And do this outside or on a surface that you're not gonna mess up by sanding. So see, we're getting it there, and even that looks kind of cute. If you just want like a super light raw hem, that's actually really cute. And then over here, this is the longer one. We're gonna just keep sanding this. And there's gonna be a ton of excess, like as you can see, my hand is pretty much blue. You're gonna wanna pull that all out to get the cleanest look possible. And then having some of the seams out is pretty cute. Again, natural looking. You can go back with this, pull some, you know, give it that really natural look. So yeah, there's the bottom of the jeans. And you know, there might be other ways to do this. I'm not sure. I work with my hands a lot and just see what works. Grab this random safety pin, did it that way. So this kind of stuff is a lot easier than it looks. You just have to get creative, work with your hands, see what works for you. And yeah. And then to give the top a little bit of like a matching distressing to your bottom so it's not so clean looking, you can go back with this sandpaper and kind of hit the harder spots. And when I say harder, I mean, you know, above the zipper, just where there's a lot more material. So you can sand up here. And you're gonna wanna really use all your strength. I don't have a lot of strength, so it's a little bit more difficult for me. But yeah, so giving it that little lighter. And as you can see, if you kept going and going, you would get to the seams and it would kind of do the same thing as the bottom of the hem. So then you could do it on the zipper as well. And then again, cleaning off that fuzzy part. You can also take a razor to this and then it'll take off a lot of the fuzzy stuff. And then you could do it to even like the pockets. And yeah, vintage jeans you got, or if you have any jeans at home with this type of bottom and you're like, these are way too long on me,